Thank you very much. Good evening, all with us here in this space, and all the others who are in another space. Thank you for joining us this evening. And I want to thank all the powerful, dynamic speakers, and I'd give them a round of applause, please. We have been indeed very blessed to have such dynamic speakers and persons, all devoted to fighting for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. And if I may single out one of them tonight, I want to salute a citizen who has been taking a stand for democracy and the protection of the rights of our citizens, of everyone really, basically, in our nation. Let's say hello, salute to Mr. Victor Roberts. Now, Victor spent 3 days last week standing peacefully, standing, not sitting, standing from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., peacefully outside the Hall of Justice. He did this all in the name of defending rights and our democracy against this wicked, vicious, corrupt, incompetent, rowdy regime. I had the pleasure of visiting him, as many of us did, and during that protest, and I spoke with him. I want you to look at this video for a moment.
But what, you've been standing all day?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Normal.
So why are you standing and not sitting?
Well, they said I cannot sit on the step. It's against the protocol in front of the Hall of Justice.
So what is the law? Is there a law which says you cannot sit?
No, there's
To the best of my knowledge, there is no law that prevents you from sitting there.
Yeah.
Well, look,
I will obey. I will obey.
yeah, well, you are an obedient person. Well, you are a person who will do the best that you can. But we are very proud of you and the work that you're doing, and to highlight the problems. I mean, just Sunday we saw the tear gassing of innocent people peacefully there, giving expression for fundamental rights, human rights, and you have this problem of people. I don't know what happened, but that needs to be investigated in my view. But what you hope to achieve from what you're doing?
Well, actually, I am highlighting three basic things. One, the death of our democracy, the amount of COVID-19 deaths. We need a forensic investigation into that.
Well, you know, I've been calling for a commission of inquiry,
of course,
so you could get people to give evidence on oath, and that way people publicly give it. So you don't want this committee, closed door committee, can't work. Yes, so the investigation into the number of deaths.
Right, and thirdly, justice for all, because it seems as though there's one law for the PNM and another law for the whole country. That is what it seems to me. So I am highlighting this and trying to mobilize the people to understand and to take a stand with us to force this government upon action. I think we just cannot wait until 2025. We just can't.
Well, you know, it's said that evil flourishes when good men do nothing.
Yeah.
So I think as a good patriotic citizen, you're standing up for the rights of yourself and many others in the country. And it's a very commendable act. So I want to wish you health and strength.
I appreciate it, leader.
Because I really don't know if I could have stood up all day as you're doing now at this time, to stand up for the whole day. So there are many people proud of you. There are many people who thank you for what you're doing. Good luck and going back to Parliament.
Okay, leader. So stay blessed and stay safe.
You too, God bless.
And continue the fight. I love the fight that you are putting on.
Yes, we are proud of, we like what you're doing too. And you're doing it peacefully, and that's the most important point. As a human and as a citizen of this country, you are peacefully expressing what you see as the shortcomings, the problems. You're peacefully standing up for rights and freedoms. And that is a very important thing. Again, evil flourishes when good men do nothing. So keep on being a good man. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Please let's salute him again. Thank you so much. And I emphasize the point that he was standing for the entire day. I know many, many moons ago, there was a gentleman, Lincoln Myers. He fasted on the Hall of Justice for a long time, but he was sitting. He sat on the steps of the Hall of Justice. Do you know that Victor was not even on the steps of the Hall of Justice? He was on the pavement. And one day after I visited Victor, Sunday security came harassing the man and telling him He can't stay there. He can't sit there, but he wasn't even sitting, but he couldn't be there. That's the security from the Hall of Justice. And so that's why I asked him in the video, he would say, but is there any law? I don't know any law that says you cannot stand up on the pavement. Anybody knows of any law? There's no law. And that's where we said this government has become a government. One law for themselves, one law for everybody else. Everybody else to catch. But they make sure and take care of themselves, their friends, their finances, and their families. So they began to threaten Victor with jail and so on. As I say, he wasn't even sitting down, he was standing. He did not make any noise, he was there very peacefully. And what they want to do, lock him up and jail him. They say, now there's no evidence to charge Rowley for breaking COVID regulations when the man openly confessed that he was breaking the regulations, but you want to lock up Victor for standing up on a pavement. So if you wanted to know why Victor was standing there, he told us tonight. He spoke here and we heard him there. And my concern is this is happening throughout Trinidad and Tobago. When residents in Barker protested, I think the same Rohan Rudy spoke about, he sent a bill for them to fix the road. But when they protested up in Beetham, there was no bill how to fix the road and how much you pay for it. Then they went in. They used policemen to go into those areas, harassing the citizens, those who had been out in the protest and so on. One of them is a strong UNC activist. They gave him some kind of traffic offense or ticket offense, harassing citizens for expressing peacefully, standing up for their rights. And so when it comes to tear gassing children, they have no problem in that. They have no problem in tear gassing citizens who are peacefully demonstrating. But yet, when a man openly breaks the law and he says, I broke the law in Tobago, I was on the beach and I broke the law, nothing is wrong with that. He gets off scot-free. But you want to harass Victor, you want to harass residents everywhere else who stand up for their own rights. I want to say, therefore, the UNC has launched a legal committee. Yes, we have lawyers helping when things happen, but we are formalizing that arrangement so that we will use this legal committee to protect you when you are being threatened and harassed and being abused by this wicked government through the arm of the TTPS. This committee will provide legal services for anyone where your rights are being trampled upon by this dictator government. Anyone. Now that could be, they didn't want to give you, remember, permission for the open fire cremations, for those rituals and so on. They want to force you to reveal your private medical information. And what is the stick, the big stick they're holding over you is if you don't disclose it, you can't come to work. Don't come to work, you're not getting paid. Want to get your private medical information, again, that is your right. That is your constitutional right. And so we are saying anyone being discriminated against, anyone being abused by this wicked government, the UNC will stand with you, we will stand for you, and we will fight for you. And so we will show this dictator Rowley that the people of this country are no pushovers. And therefore, we fight for your rights, and I want to make it very clear, come to the MP's offices, go to the councillors' offices, and let us please take your facts, and we can see how best we can help you. However, I'll put a disclaimer on this. We will not participate in assisting you with your private law rights. Because if you cannot afford private law rights, that's like where you have a dispute with your neighbor, a dispute with somebody else about property or lands, those are private law matters, and you can go to the legal aid authority who will give you free legal advice. So you're not left in the cold. But when it comes to abuse by the state, by the government, or their entities, we will stand with you and fight them for you. Because those cases, very few lawyers take them. I think Anna Ramlogan is one of the most outstanding lawyers when it comes to public law. So in the public law arena, we will stand with you and we will fight for you. So, Rowley, be warned. Already, your AG has lost so many cases. And you know, they will stand up and cry about these lawyers from South. What do you have against lawyers from South? When it is the lawyers from South who stand up and fight and they win the cases. And you know, like you forget, Faris, that you are also a lawyer from South. When you're condemning lawyers, have you abandoned the South? Well, we believe you have, because the constituents in San Fernando are saying daily, you are doing nothing for them in San Fernando. So you've abandoned the Southland. Abandoned the Southland. So here we are. We offer this service free of charge. Did I say that before? Let me make it clear. Legal committee being set up, and there are many lawyers, again, in the UNC, as we have many doctors in the UNC, as we have many others, plumbers, teachers, taxi drivers. We have people from all walks of life. I think Victor put it right. All races, all creeds, all religions in the UNC. And we are a competent set of people. Munira talked to you, they built road, it collapsed, the contract in the hospital block collapsed. Can I tell you something? This government has collapsed. The Rowley government has collapsed. And what is going on with them? They are so busy fighting among themselves, they don't have time to deal with the issues in the country. You may want to know how I know that, but Rowley, I'm not telling you, go and ask them. Your own people, your own MPs and ministers fighting among each other. What are they fighting for? They're looking for the day they want to replace you. So those of you who worry about who replacing me, I thank God the UNC gave me 12 years as your leader. 12 years, I thank God. I thank you in the UNC for your love and your support throughout all these years. It's not easy, but whoever said life is easy? Life is difficult, and we have to make the most of it. So the stories coming out from the PNM camp is plenty infighting going on. That's why when I spoke to you last week, I talked about the fact that, hey, Faris come with some kind of fireworks law, remember? And then Hines cussed it up, and then Stuart Young cussed it up. Well, I have been told, and they could deny it, I have been told that Faris hired some lawyers, his favorite lawyers, we wouldn't even have to name them, hired some lawyers to go down to do some case for the Ministry of National Security. I am told, and Fitzy, I'm asking you, I am told you fired them. You fired the lawyers hired by your own Attorney General. So what on earth is going on if you all are so busy fighting on each other? Do you have time to take care of the people? Victor gave a real heart-stirring story, sub-story about what's happening with the COVID, what happened down at Point 14 and so on. You are too busy fighting each other. And if you're not too busy fighting each other for whatever it may be, you're too busy making money. You all have become, instead of a government running the country for the people, by the people, of the people, you all have become a criminal corruption enterprise. Busy trying to make money and more money and more money. That's what you've become. And you know, what happens in the dark always comes to light, you know. Each day, more and more is coming. And talking about our legal team, I want to endorse what Dr. Munila said. We are asking clearly for a commission of inquiry into the collapse of the contract for the Central Block. Tell us what happened. We need to find out what happened with the collapsing of that. Dr. Mulal gave some points earlier. And with the highway, what happened down there? You know what happened again as a part of the geographic discrimination that Kemrat spoke about? We were building the one from San Fernando, we reached to Debe. From Debe, we would go through San Francisco, etc., go down through Superior into Faisabad. And I know mangrove that was going to get damaged, you know. What you've done now is not only an engineering disaster, you've also created a real disaster for that mangrove. But they were so busy not to build road through Debe, going San Francisco, Pinal, going through down to Superior into no. They want to build this thing on the shoreline. Look what was happened. And then you want to build it at under cost. Munira told us the materials, always looking for a way out to make $1 for yourself. I don't know if it's true, but we be asking. What Munila asked, are you using these contractors to pile up in Balishe House? Are you looking after yourself and shortchanging and shortcutting on the work to be done? And this is where I say this government has to account to the people. You will see something happen in the parliament today. And on Friday, they came to parliament to say they are varying expenditure, how much they are spending. They're varying that expenditure. And what they're doing, they're taking X dollars from various items, heads of expenditure they're called, and they're going to put them elsewhere. But the frightening thing is where they want to remove that expenditure from. What it is they're cutting, in other words. What it is that they are cutting. And what are the reasons for cutting them? I'll come back to that, but I want to say I'm totally disgusted by what I saw happening in the parliament today. I was totally disgusted. And when we said this is a runaway dictatorship government, tyranny, no accountability to the people, you are coming to move monies that you budgeted for since 2020. They passed the budget 2020. The fiscal year is called 2021 because it runs from September 2020 down into September 21. You now come into the parliament to deal with whatever. And they said, well, no finance committee was held. So you know what? The cabinet decided to bring it now. So you're bringing expenditures from way back then where you jiggle it and ratify it and whatever and whatever and whatever. And then the whole thing makes nonsense and a mockery out of the budgeting process in the country. A budget is not something that is taken lightly. The government by law is required to bring the estimates of expenditure to Parliament when they come to pass a budget. Those expenditures are looked at by the Parliament, go into details, into depth, examine and get transparency and accountability of how monies are going to be spent. And that money is not theirs. Remember, that is taxpayer dollars, that's your dollars. And so you go through that whole process, and we take days in the Parliament, weeks in the Parliament, going through this with a fine-tooth comb. And then you come and you say you want to vary. Nothing is wrong. That has happened before. You have that right in law to change, to vary, because circumstances may have changed. But when that happens, you cannot come and shut down the MPs from speaking. You can't stop them from raising matters and issues in the Parliament when people are trying to find out, the MPs, on behalf of their constituents, why did you cut the ADB vote? Why have you cut down the Agro Development Bank? Why are you cutting that? When we are saying agriculture is the most important thing in the country, we need to feed ourselves, we need food security, we have to grow more, we have to do more. Why did you cut that vote? Why? So when MP Tanku tried to get an answer, the madam got up, the government through the madam got up and said, no, you can't ask about policy. You can't ask about that. So you are entitled to give us zero allocation. Zero, Not just a cut, it was zero to the Agricultural Development Bank. Oh, you could do that, but we must ask why. We must find out why. Why is it that it is that the farmers, they say, oh, the bank didn't ask for the money. The bank did not ask for the money. Well, I don't believe that. I don't know if you believe it, but I just don't believe it, Mr. Embert. I don't. The bank didn't want money. You want to tell me farmers out there and they don't need the loans? Why don't you be honest with us and tell us that what is indeed happening is you're incompetent. God, I almost said something else. You're totally incompetent. Minister of Agriculture has been promising and promising and promising that he will do something about land tenure for the farmers. Because that's a major blocker. When the farmers go to apply for the loan, they say, no, well, you have to prove who owns land, how you own land. A lot of it is state land. Clarence has been promising that for years. For years. So what is the real reason you cut the ADB? And the PNM has always paid lip service to agriculture in this country. Not true? You in South know that. They be South where that seed, people are planters and farmers. By the way, I picked 2 buckets of peas over the last couple of days, shelling peas. I've been planting myself. And it's such a wonderful feeling when you reap those peas. Usha told me, boss, we should go by the road and put up a little That's all. Anyway, so they have always paid lip service to agriculture. When you look at the food import bill is so high. And when you're looking now with the pandemic, supply chains are broken, have been broken. Prices will go even higher. Food prices will go even higher. So whilst you feel this is a small matter, this is a huge matter. Agriculture, food security is a huge matter because you can't eat, you can't live. You cannot live, and the government, again, not for the first time, has said zero to the ADB because the ADB didn't ask for money. Why? Why are the farmers not applying for loans? Is it COVID again? As Mundial said, COVID killed everything in this country. Why? You cut the ADB vote, the expenditures for the ADB. What have you cut again? Something very dear to us. You have cut the gate again. The funding for GATE for students. And I want to remind you, they may boast about GATE, but that GATE program came from when? Under the Baste Pandey regime. Remember? That's where it came from, dollar for dollar. Dollar for dollar, you changed the name, but a rose by any other name still smells as sweet and is still a rose. So you change the GATE, okay, fine. And having changed the GATE, well, we continue the program. Not only did we continue that GATE program, because I was very, 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 very embroiled and very enthused and very enthusiastic and very much into education. I've said some of my stories with you about that. That education is the only passport out of poverty. Education is key to a better quality of life. Many of you sitting here could not even be sitting here today if it were not for the education that you got. So education is paramount in any society that has a respect for the rights and the freedoms of people. It's a different kind of right and freedom, but the Constitution guarantees a right to education too. You may or may not know that. And so when we went into office, what we did was to take the GATE, which they had, as I said, they changed the name, and we aligned it to the sectors of national development. So what it is we need to train people in. So when you need plumbers, you need X or you need Y. And I mentioned plumbers specifically because this wasn't just for university education. Our GATE, we opened the GATE and we put it out for TechVoc, what is called as TechVoc education as well. So you go and take a skill, learn a skill, train yourself, become somebody and get a job. So you don't just have to be a doctor or lawyer. You can be a plumber, you could be a mason, you could be a carpenter. All of this we were doing through the GATE. We opened that GATE to allow these students in, and in terms of national development. And the changes we made supported a very robust and relevant tertiary system. And I can boast today that under our watch, we increased participation in the tertiary education sector up to 62%. That was a great achievement, a great achievement. We took the GATE that they had and we expanded it in terms of the amount of funding at one point from $650 million, $575 million per year we were spending. And we became, as I said, more inclusive, bringing in the TechVoc matters. And so, since they came into office now, hear the story, not a sad story. Everything on this PNM just mash up, it collapses. Since 2015, they have systematically destroyed the GATE program. And since then, it has continued every year. So this year is not new. The cut for the GATE funding this year is not new, or in 2021, which is the numbers we are dealing with. It's not new. They have been doing it from the time they came in. In 2016, the funding for GATE, they dropped it down to about $435 million. Remember, under my watch, my last year in office, $650 million to go for GATE for children, to educate our children. First year, 2016, dropped to $435 million. They brought in the means test. Do you all remember that? The means test is to keep their friend and family and finances in place. That means test wasn't to help the people who really needed, the poor people. So that also decreased the numbers who would benefit from the GATE. At one time, they say if you're over 50 years, you can't get GATE. They changed it again to say, hello, you could only do 1 degree and 1 postgrad. So suppose you're real bright and you want to do 2 degrees or 3. No sense about what is development and how a country develops. It is through creating skills. You know, if a large company comes here into Trinidad and Tobago, what are they looking for? Skilled people. So even before they come, they want to know what kind of skill, what kind of labor, not necessarily labor, but the skilled labor force. That's what they will be looking for. That is why, under my watch, we had $48 billion in foreign direct investment. $48 billion we were creating We were creating a society that was tech savvy. You know, the other day I got an email from somebody, and the guy sent it, a young man. He said, you know, I'm sending this to you to thank you so much that when I was in secondary school, you gave me a laptop. How many years was that now? He says, and when I'm now in university, I'm using the same laptop. All those thousands of children we gave that laptop to continue to have the laptop, to take them through, to be tech savvy, to live in a technological world. That's what we were training our students for. That's what we were using the gate for. But they have no understanding or idea of the importance of that kind of education and that further level of education. And so they brought in this thing, as I went off on that tangent because I was talking about this, and you can't get gate for 2 degrees. Well, I have more than 2, by the way, and I didn't get any gate. And I never got any scholarship because in my day, people like me could never get a scholarship. I was a student in London, I've told you before. I work as a waitress. I work as a clerk in the Church of England Children's Society. I work and put myself through school with a little help from my family and friends. That is why this thing was so important to me when we were in government, to have that gate for children to better themselves, improve their quality of life. And when they improve theirs, then their parents and their families also get improved. But no, this government has no care about that. They don't care, and so they've cut the gate fund. And I'm saying repeatedly and using all kinds of stories. This one about you, if you're over 50. Well, I'm over 50, so what's wrong if I want to do another degree? What's wrong? I have several of them. I did very well in them, if I boast myself. But if you don't say about yourself, who will? Somebody has to say it. Someone has to speak it. And so the MPs on our side, our MPs, our senators and so on, they have been trying to find money to get their children. People come to us all the time. There was one girl, I think, so Angela will remember, the long thread of emails. The government comes to say, well, you know what? Well, you all pay now, and we'll give you the money down the road. This long thread for a few years, this poor child, the money outstanding, they will not give her a graduation certificate because she didn't pay certain fees, and the government will not pay it even though they had agreed to pay it. They have no understanding to call a student and say, tell student, oh, they pay it now, man. Pay it, and we'll give you back. Where are they getting it from? If in the first place they are the vulnerable ones who don't have the money. And so the government has shown it is not serious about making sensible investments. Because in a nation, in a country, the most important resource is your human resource and the development of your human resource. And this government has shown they have no care for the development of human resource. And today what you do, what they tell us, I heard somebody, Kemchan spoke of it, others, the auntie maybe, about what they're doing with the CPEP. And they're cutting by 2/3, man. 2/3 means what? 2 in every 3. 2 in every 3 persons to be fired. 2 in every 3. Do you imagine the suffering that will follow? Munila reminds about 5,000 workers. 10,000. So 6,000 people go on the breadline. In addition to all those who are already on the breadline because of what they have done. And if they continue to this quasi-safe zone foolishness policy, how many more thousands will lose their jobs? Look, wake up, Trinidad and Tobago. Wake up. You have to wake up. You have to wake up. You have to wake up. So whilst I talk to you in the narrative form, let me talk to you on the hard facts, the statistics themselves. Under this government, from 2015, our last year in office, when we spent $650 million for GATE, guess what? $650 million, you know. They cut that down when they came in. 2017, they took it down to $504 million. 2018, they took it down to $434 million. In 2019, down to $435. Remember where we started from, eh? $650 million. Down in 2019 to $435 million. 2020, about $435. And today, they approved in the parliament to $320 million. So they've come from where we were, $650 million. You have cut the gate and brought it down to less than half, about half, 320. 320 million. What does that mean? That's just money. And while you came to reduce that thing today, and every year you were reducing it, you're busy paying Faris rent. In the same document today, there was a transfer to approve money for rents for the personnel department. That is Faris's building or his family's building. So, and this man's so shameless. He's so shameless. That's what I tell you, it's a business enterprise they're running. He's so shameless. Not only did he vote yes in the SFC on Friday, the Finance Committee, when this matter came up, he voted yes. And then when he voted that, just before, he said, I declare an interest. I declare an interest. And yes. Faris, why you didn't recuse yourself? And today I saw him on the TV, looking lean, mean, and hungry. Saw him in the parliament. And there he is. Janty, if you see the fellow boy, something going on. I don't know if he's already fighting in the cabinet and in the ministers, but anyway, pressure. And there he is, talking on the same bill. Shameless. You declare you have an interest. He didn't tell the parliament on Friday what the interest was, but we know. Is that the building rented and the rental to be paid is for that personal building, which is where Alexandra Street somewhere. And today he's talking in support of the bill. You should have recused yourself, sir. You should not have participated in that debate. But again, that's what this government is about. Friends, family and finances. So I'm back onto the gate, all these gate cuts and so on that happen. What is the effect of cutting the gate like that? Of course, they get more money to pay more rent, maybe. But what is the effect on the children? How many persons benefited when we were there and benefit now? So let me give you that data. For fiscal 2016, 2015, again, under my watch, our watch, 59,605 per children benefited from the gate. Not children necessarily, but students. You go down now, in 2016, they set up a task force. They love to set up task force and committees and things that nothing do happen, huh? And can I confirm the 7-day wonder committee for the COVID, whatever? I think it's 7 days done, you know. Yeah. Which date was that committee set up? Last week, Saturday. Well, Saturday has come, Saturday has gone, Sunday has gone, and we are into Monday night. So last week, I told you that was a whole puppy show and a charade. Those of you listen, that's the whole thing, the whole puppy show. Nothing will happen 7 days later, more than 7 days on counting. Where's this famous report? And they have a history of hiding reports too. Eh? They have a history of hiding reports. You remember the Darrell Smith report? Everybody ever see that? And they will hide the reports, but then they'll leak it to one of their friends in the media. They leak it. That's what they do. So wait for the leaked report. If it suits them, they will leak it. If it doesn't suit them, like the Darrell Smith one, they will hide it. So they leaked some report about, from Justice Stanley John about what it is, guns and whatever it is. FUL, yes, license. So that'll leak out a whole big page and so on in the paper. But let me get back to the gate, because it's a very important thing I want you to understand, because this affects every citizen in this country. It affects all our children. It affects all those already in the system, in the education system. So I'm saying when you cut the money like that, from the 650, you bring it down to about 320 million. That's a huge cut. What does it mean? I told you in June 2015, our watch, 59,605. They set up a task force 2016, that's why I went off on these committees. And then we come into 2017 under the PNM. From 59,605 on us, it went to 29,492 students. See what's happening? By the time you get down to 2017, 2019, that number dropped down to 21,720. And when you get into 2021, which is the numbers they were cutting the gate for, down to about 21,000. So when we were there, we had almost 60,000 persons, students benefiting from the gate. This wicked government, cut, until now you reach to where? 20. There's another 2/3 here, you know. You've cut out 2/3 of the students. So that's what they came, cut. And then what did they also do? That's not the only thing they cut in the parliament today. They also did a little fancy work. You call it ratchify. Some people call it ratchify. Cooking the books in a sense. There were 2 loans that the government had to pay, again for 2021. And these 2 loans, one had to do with a loan taken by UDCOT for UDCOT to do certain works. That loan was $230 million. That loan became due for payment in September 2021. Remember, we're dealing with the fiscal 21. It became due for payment in September 21. There was another loan of $160 million for E-Tech. Again, to do, I think it was something to do with Magdalena, if I'm not mistaken. $160 million. So these 2 loans became due. Now, when you have money to pay, the way I always understand it growing up is if you owing somebody and you cannot pay the money, what happened? The bank will tell you you're bankrupt. People tell you you're a boss. The 2 loans, they could not pay them. So what did they do? They use a fancy word in the parliament with their variation bill and so on and their transfers. They use the word refinance. What does refinance mean? Refinance is you take a next loan to pay off the loan that you were owing and couldn't pay. So 160 and 230, 106 and 39, $290 million we're talking about here. They take more loans, other loans. And again, when MP Tanku today in the parliament, this wicked set of people trying to get some kind of clarity, transparency about how you're spending taxpayers' money. Okay, you refinanced it. What are the terms of this refinancing? Are you having to go and pay more interest because you're on bad debt already, you couldn't pay it? Are you going to pay more interest? Are you extending the length of it? How much more is it going to cost us? Hey, and very important, he asks, who is the person you took the loan from to refinance this loan? Because we know we have some cabinet minister, have some family, some NCB, something where they always get in to borrow money from these people. Who? And they shut down MP Tanku. So I'm asking tonight, who, which institution? What are the terms of this new loan that you're pretending that you're refinancing? And we mustn't find out. Taxpayers must not know what you're doing with their money. And let me remind you with this government and what has happened. Under this government, we have seen they have taken our country into the valley of debt. They have increased our debt burden over their few years of office. When we left there, public sector debt, we were at 44.8 billion. And remember, part of that debt was not just in our 5-year term. That was in the previous terms of the Manning regime. So at that point in time, in 2015, debt, meaning money owing, meaning your taxpayers' dollars that have to be paid, stood at $44.8 billion. And do you know what has happened now? Do you know where that is now in their few years? 122.19 billion. 122.19 billion. Somebody good at maths to work out how much that is per person that is owed. Government took us, increased our debt by $77 billion. $77 billion. And then when you come to what you have to do, you have to pay something called charges on public debt. But let me just share the numbers. So I'm saying when we were there 2014, our last full year in office, 2014 to 15, public debt stood at that amount that I shared with you, 77.3 billion. And they have taken us up to 122 billion and counting. Because these are the numbers we have up so far as actual, verified by the central bank. And then we come to charges on account of the public debt. So because you're owing all this money, guess what? We have to pay charges on the debt. We have to pay charges on the debt. So in addition to the money, you have charges accruing. And when we look at those numbers, my God, look at it again. Charges on the public debt under us, 4.7 million. This government, as September 21, charges on the public debt, 11.3. $11.3 million. So in addition to the 122 they're owing, these are the charges coming out of yours. Can you imagine if we didn't have to pay all these charges, how many roads could have been done? How many schools could have been built? How many health centers could have been constructed? You're talking about billions of dollars lost into the valley of debt. This is where this government is seeing us. So you come to Parliament, you know. The Parliament is a place to come and explain yourself. But the Speaker tells poor Mr. Tanku, MP Tanku, sorry, sir, you can't raise that. You can't raise policy things. You have to stick. So what did they expect us to stand up in that Parliament and do today? What? To say, oh yes, the government wants to cut the gate. The government wants to cut the ADB. The government wants to refinance. So yes, 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 agreed. No, it's not going to happen. We will fight you in the Parliament and we will fight you outside the Parliament. Wherever it is, and we will fight you in the courts of law in Trinidad and Tobago. And we will not give up on this fight in the Parliament, outside the Parliament, in the courts. We will not give up until you are removed from office, Rowley. We will not give up. We will not give up. You came last week with something called some special economic zone something. Bill. They brought a bill. I'm sharing really because I know Parliament takes place during the day and you don't get to spend time listening, and then it's a little language, maybe a little complex. So to break it down so you'll understand what's going on. Came with something called special economic zone last week, okay? And what were they doing with that? They were moving to repeal. In other words, kill something that existed there from since in the 80s, something known as the economic zones. But now they call them, they want to change the name, special economic zones. But they're more deadly. They were more deadly than just trying to change the name. Because they came, first of all, to say this is about, what? This is for investment and diversification and to create jobs. Lie, if you ever realize. Those people stand in the Parliament and lie with a straight face. I remember the same Faris, who is a South lawyer, by the way, in case he forgot, I'm reminding him, I told you that already. He stands up in the Parliament last week and lied about the global forum and taxation issues and so on. They came to tell us this bill is for all the glory I just mentioned. Divestment, investment, diversity, blah, 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 blah. And they were really trying to hide what was their true intention, which was to help to get us off the EU blacklist. That was like a side win. But that's what they came again, because up to today, with all Faris rant and rave and all that he keeps crying about, we are still on the blacklist. We are still on the blacklist. And then Faris got up to try to make it look that these obligations that the Special Economic Zone Bill was dealing with, that this is what my government put us into. Lie. Well, thank God we had Saddam Hussein in the Parliament. Saddam got up right away and put him in his place for lying. Saddam had documents showing it was this government that took us there. So, how about these special economic zones now, okay? This is something that Rowley has been preaching since 2016. They have not got it off the books. They have not got it. And that's another thing, you know, they don't implement, they just talk. Like NATO. No action, talk only. That's the Rowley government. No action, and it's not the kind of action you think about, Cook. It's not. No action, no implementation. Where is the pepper spray? Where is the pepper spray legislation? Young Andrea Barrett murdered, God rest her soul, Miss Riley and so on. Big noise, pepper spray every day, Faris, pepper spray. Well, where on earth is this pepper spray legislation? When are you going to get it off the books and say no action, talk only? Only hot air, hot wind, they cannot implement, they do not implement. So this free zone thing and now change into a special zone thing, not going to work. I mentioned to you about the FDI and so on, but let me tell you something with this thing. What concerns me a lot about it is that the board for this SEZ, special economic zone is going to be handpicked by the minister. And what will the board have to do? What are the functions? The board is the body that will grant you a license to operate a special economic zone. So what's wrong with that? Nothing is wrong with that. But when it's a hand-picked board by the minister put in friend, family, again, and financiers on that board. And when that board is making its recommendations, it's still the 3Fs, friends, family, financiers. And why would they want to do that? I'll tell you why. You know what the bill that they passed, you know what it allows? If you get these special license and so on, you get in tax exemptions. You will get no property tax. You will get no VAT. You will get corporate tax off. It sounds to me like that scandal Munila talked about, the sandal scandal. Remember, they had 25 years when they wanted to set up sandals. 25 years, they gained all this thing tax-free and free and free and free and free. So we have to watch them with a hawk eye, because they never do anything without helping to benefit themselves, looking to benefit themselves. So those special economic zones, very troubling. And you all are not understanding. I wouldn't say you don't understand. Maybe you're not hearing, given the time, of what they're doing in that parliament. The parliament is the seat of our democracy. It is the seat of democracy that creates your rights and your freedoms. And they are abusing that parliament every step of the way and almost every day. But I told you today, I was most horrified and disgusted when an MP could not even get up and ask and explain, to get an explanation. Why you cut the ADB? Why you cut this? Why you cutting that? Tell us. Tell us. You can't even do that. And then you get Farris get up again, most likely to lie. I said, look at what? Shameless, I said already. Talking on a bill that is going to help him and his family. So this government is a total waste of time. As I said before, we will not stop. We will fight them in the parliament, we'll fight them outside of the parliament. And we'll fight them in the courts, and we will never stop. We will not stop. And in that breath, I say to you, thank you for the 12 years of support you have given to me as leader of this great party. And to the few detractors and naysayers, the world will never be the same and will not be this world if every flower had the same color. If the world was made up of one color, it would be a very boring, depressing world. So we will always have differences of opinion, but let us listen to young Kamraj. We have such dynamic people. Smalley with the big mouth. I don't know how the name is Smalley, but big mouth Smalley. Councillor Alderman Smalley, Councillor Marcus here. Let's thank them very much for sharing with us. And I agree. I love what Kamraj said tonight. He said, take my hand. Let's join hands. And together, we will make sure to remove this wicked and evil PNM government. God bless you, and I thank you very much.